Inside of Hong Kong's cage homes is a neoliberal solution.
It's more expensive to live in Hong Kong than anywhere in the world.
Let's take a look at
Hong Kong has been.
Let's take a look at the neoliberal solution to Hong Kong's housing crisis, which I talked about already. By the way, these are places like, even if you have a culture of taking care of your old people, these are places where old people are just like destined to die. They're just left alone, destined to die. They're no longer productive workers. They don't have enough money to fucking pay for the insane skyrocketing housing. They just fucking leave them.
Ranked the least affordable housing market in the world 8 years in a row.
That video is from 2018. Yeah, when Hong Kong was, not a part of the gross and disgusting authoritarian Chinese state, of course. So I'm sure that they're going to have a better, more adequate solution, right? Because neoliberal capitalism has a really great solution to housing.
And by a long shot, housing prices are now almost 20 times more than annual income. That means that a household making $50,000 US would, on average, be looking for a house that costs $980,000. And it's getting really bad. Hundreds of thousands of residents now squeeze into incredibly small apartments, most of them no bigger than a parking space.
So these are cage homes, which basically fit one person and their belongings, and they basically stack these in a room in order to fit as many people as they can in the room.
And yet the price per square foot for these smaller houses just keeps shooting up.
I don't understand. What's the problem? I see no issue with this. This is a perfectly amicable solution to the housing market crisis. It's just so silly.
I visited these homes.
It's called the free market, you fucking cuck. Have you heard of it? Have you taken an econ course? You would understand if you had.
To try to piece together an explanation for this trend and to meet the people who are being squeezed by the world's least affordable real estate market.
Look to your future, Americans. Even if you're living in fucking Austin, you little shits in Texas. Oh, we have so much land out here. We're doing great. We're doing fine. Look to your fucking future. Any city that you live in the United States of America is going to look like this inevitably. This is the urbanist dream, by the way. I just realized this is like the Yimby urbanist dream. Okay, literally, it's just like I don't understand. There's no issue with this. I did a similar thing in my neo-feudalist San Francisco commune that I worked at. I don't understand. This is just it's called co-living. There's no problem with this. You're so stupid for. Let's watch this. Let's keep watching.
Tens of thousands of people in this city.
I don't remember you hating on Yimbys. I guess you're just another landlord tyrant now. No, motherfucker. I talk about increasing the housing supply all the goddamn time. I literally talked about it on this broadcast like numerous times. Shut the fuck up. Suck my cock.
Who live in spaces that are between 75 and
Yimbys are the fucking Yimby urbanists are the fucking vegans of the housing crisis world, okay?
140 square feet. For some perspective,
they can't shut the fuck up.
Space in the US is 120 square feet.
所以好困難，始終呢度係黑暗嘅，即係一入嚟到見唔到光㗎嘛。
One of the most common strategies for small space living is this subdivided house model. This big space that's been divided up into a bunch of tiny little living spaces. These people basically have room for a bed and a table and a few belongings.
有啲就條你，有啲就求求其其咁樣。嗰啲唱 K 啊嗰啲啦，同埋啲水啊嗰啲藥品啊，好簡單嘅。
What makes this model work is that they have a bigger communal space where they're able to have their cooking and their washing in the bathroom open to everyone so that they can save space and save money in their actual living quarters.
Bro, the moment that we look at Hong Kong's cage homes, everyone in the chat is like, China is denying the Uyghur genocide still. It's like, bro, What does that have to do with this right now? Like, you can't just literally look at the same exact problem that exists in your fucking backyard right now, the same exact problem that impacts you, a capitalist commodified attitude towards home ownership directly causing this problem, without turning around and be like, well, they're doing Uyghur genocide. What do you mean? Just have you what? Hello? What the fuck? It's so weird. Just study why you are reflexively hitting that note. Okay? Just think about it. Just think about why.
So this is the kitchen for this space, which is shared by 4 families.
因為每個人生活習慣唔一樣咯，成日都因為好少個事都會有摩擦咯，唔 OK 咯，即係好多嘈交咯。
The tempting explanation here for why the prices are so high is land scarcity. 7.5 million people crammed into this series of islands. It's going to drive up the prices. The same story in a lot of places that have run out of land that are in high demand. Think San Francisco or New York City.
Okay, this might be the story in New York City and San Francisco, but is Hong Kong actually running out of land? Let's see what the drone says about this.
Flying over Hong Kong, you start to see that while yes, there's a very dense urban landscape, there's also a whole lot of green space. Government land use data says that 75% of the land in Hong Kong is not developed. Now, some of that is mountainous and rocky and not easy to build on, but certainly not all of it. So
I wonder if there was any sort of like interest in maintaining that undeveloped land undeveloped, so that housing, so that the 22%, like anyone outside of the 22% that owns all the fucking real estate would benefit from that. If there was any like reason why someone would benefit from maintaining the housing market in the way that it is, and you know, forcing artificial scarcity. It's just weird. I don't know. I don't know what it could be.
Pose this question about density to 2 experts. One is a Hong Kong citizen and the other is a 30-plus year resident. Both are advocates for better urban design.
Are high prices primarily the result of land scarcity?
No.
No.
It's not. Okay.
There's a land use issue because lots of land is being inefficiently used or conserved.
The problem isn't the shortage of land. The problem is bad land management.
Land use, land management. What these experts are referring to is that of all the land in Hong Kong, only 3.7% is zoned for urban housing. But it's not because of mountains, it's because of policy. And this gets to the heart of the explanation of why more and more people are living in homes the size of parking spaces.
The first thing to note, if you want to understand the real explanation, is that the government owns all of the land in Hong Kong. Well, all except for this one church that the British built here when they ruled it back in the 1800s, and it kind of just escaped the whole government owns all the land thing.
So the government owns all the land, and it leases it out to developers, usually for 50 years, in an auction process, where the highest bidder gets the contract. With such scarce and valuable land zoned for housing, real estate companies, more and more of them coming from mainland China with lots of money, will duke it out in these auctions, and will end up at an astronomically high price.
Like this plot of land that was just leased out for $2.2 billion, which set an all-time record for the most expensive land ever leased by the Hong Kong government to a developer.
So the way that government zones and leases land is the first part of this.
The other part of this explanation has a lot to do with taxes. If you're the type of person who navigates away from this video when you hear the word tax policy, stay with me here. This place loves low taxes. It's a great place to do business.
Yeah, it's so I wonder if there's like any sort of remnants of like who Hong Kong belonged to for, you know, that church. Let's think about that church for a second, and let's think about, the British government, what kind of attitude they had, what kind of economic organization of society they believed in. I'm sure this does not factor into the difference between Hong Kong and the rest of mainland China.
Because the corporate tax is low, no value-added tax, no sales tax.
That's right. You fucking nailed it. Irish influence strikes again, even though Ireland is technically used as a tax haven. But
low taxes, that's embedded into the fabric of this place. Look at all those low taxes doing their work, building up those skyscrapers, slapping on those bank logos all over town. So if the government isn't getting revenue from taxes, it really needs it from another source. And in the case of Hong Kong, that source is land sales.
Because a lot of the government revenues here are driven by land revenues.
Please, Hassan, explain it. I don't know why. I'm begging you. Dude, everything I'm saying, just think of the opposite, okay? I'm being sarcastic. Like, I'm already explaining it by saying, I wonder why. He's already describing it to you. Please consider that Chinese companies are the ones that are bidding the lands and refuses to develop it and the harm to Hong Kong people. Dude, that is... Bro, I'm sorry, but that's like next level insanity. What the fuck? Bro, come on, dude. Come on, brother. Jesus Christ. Even when it's directly a byproduct of capitalism and British colonial or British imperialist attitudes, it's still China's fault? Like, what the fuck? We'll see what happens. Okay? We'll see what happens in the future. It can continue to go that way. It can continue to go that route. Okay? Certainly. But we're watching a video from 2018. We're also watching a video of a autonomous area that was developed for many, many fucking years completely separately from what you were talking about. Specifically trying to blame China for Hong Kong in this regard is kind of wild. Especially when this is like, this predates the takeover.
And it's about 30% of government public funding.
Especially when the irony is like, this is happening in London. This is happening in Los Angeles. This is probably happening in your city too. And you could turn around and be like, China's doing that too. They're buying a lot of, Chinese nationals are buying a lot of housing. But no emphasis is placed on the local government in this regard. Like, are you fucking insane? Oh man, it's so crazy. It's wild that China is like fucking ruining the housing market. Just like it was wild when China stole all the jobs. You know, because these corporations weren't being operated by individuals. They just stole the jobs at gunpoint. They just came over and put a gun to the fucking temple of every wealthy person and said, hey, you're going to outsource your fucking manufacturing to us. Crazy. It's crazy when China did the 2008 housing market crash. The other day I stepped on a Lego. That was directly the fault of Xi Jinping. Did you know this? Literally. I stubbed my toe, Xi Jinping, CCP. It's so fucked up and so wild. Top of the hour ad break.
Financing income.
The government of Hong Kong can lease out this land to develop
Alaikum salam, tutlar.
prices, make a ton of revenue from that, and not have to raise taxes on the people or the corporations that reside here. And they still proudly retain their ranking as the freest economy on earth. What this means is that the Hong Kong government doesn't have a huge incentive to free up more land and lower prices. But while this current arrangement of bidding and auctions is really good for revenue for the government and good for the market generally, it's not super good for the people of Hong Kong.
因為我仔係過渡嘅 A 仔嚟㗎嘛，所以空間對於佢嚟講少咗少少，空氣唔流通嘅對我身體都唔好㗎。
the small spaces, this is easily the most cramped. These are coffin homes.
Could I ask you just a quick question about your living space?
一個人啫喎，多個人都唔得。呢度一個月咧，呢個位就係2100蚊。
$267 a month for that, dude.
你住得三餐大約呢兩年啊，喺香港啲住費都太貴。
The government is slowly working on this problem. Year after year, new policies come in that are meant to fix this, but they're slow to change, mainly because they have an incentive to keep the status quo as it is.
Out here at this industrial complex in Hong Kong, I met with a guy named Eric Wong, a local inventor and businessman who has seen a business opportunity in the midst of this space crisis.
Oh, great.
Eric grew up in Hong Kong and has been thinking about...
Bro, that is psychotic. Dude, what the fuck? What is going on, brother? How do you go, yo, I watched dystopian science fiction flicks when I was growing up and decided I want to be the guy who makes the pods, dude.
About small space living for a long time.
Homie, that's just a coffin. I built my first capsule when I was really young, he says. My family got a new fridge and I carved windows out of the box the fridge came in.
Oh, it has Wi-Fi.
His capsules come in 1 or 2 person sizes and are meant to provide a more efficient and hygienic version of the cage and coffin homes, all at a relatively low price.
Down here, there's a little box where you can put all your valuables.
So there's mirror lights, there's reading lights.
But these capsules, as innovative as they are, really just put a Band-Aid on.
Yo, you know what's really funny is that, I mean, this, like, Americans looking at Hong Kong's dire situation, okay, going, oh man, that's so crazy. I can't believe the motherfuckers live like this. That's crazy. It must be because of China or whatever. Don't realize that, like, you know, this is coming to your backyard, bro. This is San Francisco's probably like, this is a great idea. We should ship out a bunch of these.
On this housing problem. They don't serve as a real solution. A real solution would need to come from something that's much less profitable and fun to look at. Government policy and zoning reform that will free
Japan doing this too, is that also China's fault? Yes. Yes, it's also China that did this, okay? Yes. Somehow. Always. It's communism's fault, probably.
Free up more land and put the interests of the people above the interests of the market.
This guy says, let's watch a Turkish economy documentary. Oğlum sen manyak mısın? Direkt olarak öldürmek mi istiyorsun Türkleri burada? Zaten yaşıyorlar her gün. Ne dokümenterisi lan? Adam Twitch'e geliyor kaçmak için. Ondan sonra diyorsun ki yok hayır göster Türklere tekrar ne kadar yarak yediklerini.
But until the government can make that happen, people in Hong Kong will continue to squeeze into smaller and smaller spaces.
Anyway, okay, so he did at least like admit it. Come on, dude. The Hong Kong protests were largely driven in large part by youth resentment towards unaffordable housing. The CCP controls Hong Kong's LegCo parliament and pretty much backs the same real estate developers that the British did. It's not China's fault, but they largely maintain British colonial structures. It's just the truth. 100%. Let's see what happens. If it continues to be the same exact way, then you're right. That they are, that, you know, they're engaging in the same exact exploitative structures that the British did.